The MiG-21SMT is in a bit of an odd spot, just like the F-8E I reviewed a few days ago. This was the first MiG-21 that I actually spent a good amount of time using in-game, and it is honestly quite a fun aircraft to fly. So, the MiG-21SMT is a Russian Rank 7 supersonic jet fighter. It has the ability to carry a few different missiles, those being the R-60, R-3R, and R-3S. But, as y'all probably know at this point, the R-3S is almost completely useless. You also have a 23mm cannon with 200 rounds of ammunition for those close dogfights. But the 23mm cannon that you get on this plane is honestly pretty hard to aim, at least for me. And a lot of times when I get my chance to get my guns on target, I completely whiff. Oh yeah, and one really annoying thing about the MiG-21SMT is that you have the flare and chaff pod that you have the option of mounting on the bottom of the fuselage, and you have to choose whether or not you want to take it before you enter a match. You don't have the ability to attach or remove it once you've already joined a match. Most people would probably say, oh, flares are super useful, why not just take them every match? And, well, yeah, I agree with that, but the flare pod adds quite a bit of extra weight and will hinder your maneuverability. And it blocks you from deploying your air brake. What I would prefer to do is take the flares in an 11.0 or 11.3 match, but leave them behind in a sub 10.0 match because the missiles you encounter there aren't nearly as good as the ones you see at top tier. So, anyway, like the F-8E, it has a strange spot at 10.3. You can get up-tiered and face the best of the best aircraft in-game, or you can get down-tiered and face subsonic jets like Sabres, which is really, really whack and needs to be addressed ASAP by Gaijin. Anyway, as I described in that other video, it seems like you get a pretty even split of up-tiers and down-tiers, but for some reason when I was playing the SMT, a lot of the time I got several up-tiers in a row and several down-tiers in a row, but that might have just been RG. In a down-tier, this thing kind of clubs just about everything. As long as you don't try and go into sustained dogfights with your enemies, you'll have a very nice down-tier experience. I approach a down-tier match somewhat aggressively most of the time. I climb up higher than all the other players, which isn't hard by the way, this thing climbs extremely well, and then when I see the first cluster of enemies appear below me, I dive down and try and get as many kills as I can. Most of the time this works pretty well, but occasionally you'll get an enemy or two who had the same idea, so you'll have to pay attention and deal with those players. When you get up tier, you will be facing the big dogs. Your team will likely consist of mostly MiG-23s and a couple other MiG-21s, and your enemy teams will most likely be 90% Phantoms. As far as the MiG-21's capability goes, it can put up a pretty good fight against whatever you face, but the majority of players will still have better missiles, and everyone will have flares. And if you've used R-60s before, you'll know how much these things are attracted to flares. When I get into an 11.3 match, I play a bit more of a support role until the furball starts. I like to fly off to the side a bit and chill around 2 to 3 kilometers at altitude. Once the furball begins, I start heading my way towards that furball, hoping to catch a Phantom or two off guard. One of those Phantoms that's highly likely going to be tunnel visioning one of my teammates. It usually works pretty well, but not all the time. Up tiers are definitely challenging in the MiG-21SMT, but that's expected. Alright, before I jump into the match commentary, I want to bring up how much speed you lose when you make a turn. You lose a massive amount of speed when you turn in any MiG-21. I refer to the MiG-21 as a flying air brake a lot of the time, because it's so bad. But that said, you have a very powerful engine and you can recover that lost speed very quickly. Which in certain situations this is really, really useful. For example, say you're in a dogfight 1 versus 1, and you realize it's likely a losing fight. You can disengage, put plenty of distance between you and your enemy, then re-engage when you feel safe to do so. Anyway, I'll stop rambling now and run the showcase match. Okay. Now this match isn't really anything crazy at all, but it just goes to show even if you tunnel vision, you will do well. Because that's all I did this match was tunnel vision. Like if you get it down tier, it's honestly hard to do poorly in this aircraft. So, like I was talking about a minute ago, this is what I do just about every time I get it down tier. I go way up high and then dive down on the first targets I see. In this case, it's going to be the AV-8 Harrier. I'm holding off on firing this missile just because I know he has flares and he's probably looking right at me and my teammate's also going for him, so if I fired off a missile, I would 100% go for his flare either way. Take some pretty poorly placed shots. And in any other supersonic jet, I would not follow this Harrier in a turn, but like I said a minute ago, this thing bleeds its speed very, very quickly, so there's very little risk of overshooting. Fire off a couple more poorly placed shots. Harrier takes a dive and I still pursue. Then I send off a missile and it's going to get the kill. I'm honestly surprised I got this kill. I would expect him to still be looking my direction, but I guess I just caught him at a good time. He might have looked away for a split second. And that's going to be, honestly, a undeserved kill number 1. So now I see another Harrier, and I'm going to pursue him. Almost had the chance to get a missile off, but not quite. He pitches up, and I'm going to throw some 23s into his plane, which will result in kill number 2. Now, like I said earlier, basically all I do this match is tunnel vision on whoever I think will be the easiest kill. I normally would play a bit smarter than this, but when I played this match, I was kind of using a very much a send it type mentality. But even with that, it still works out, like, most of the time. Notice another Harrier behind me. Worried he's going to shoot off a missile, but my teammate takes care of him. And then I set my sights on what is the biggest threat left in the match, this F8E. I probably should have gone and helped out that teammate that was calling for it, but like I said a minute ago, I was playing with a very send it mentality. I wouldn't have got to him anyway, but still, I probably should have gone at least tried. Start warming up my R60s. Get a lock. Fire. And that's going to be another easy kill. Take a peek behind me and notice another Harrier way back there. I see he's fired an AIM-9G at me, which at this range is going to be quite easy to dodge. Like the AIM-9D, it leads a lot, which means if you throw your plane in the direction that the missile's already going and then throw it the opposite direction, the missile's not going to be able to come back and get you. Take a quick head-on with the Harrier that fired the missile at me, which is going to result in another kill. And that's going to be the final kill of the match for me. My teammate's going to take care of the F5C because I completely whiffed my shots again, but that's alright, I got 4 kills, I'm fine with it. So, to wrap things up, the MiG-21SMT is definitely an aircraft that is worth flying because of its favorable matchmaker. I mean, come on, R60s against 9.3 jets is ridiculous. It has that weird thing with the flare pod, but other than that, this thing is lots of fun and definitely a good introduction to top tier jets. What do you guys think about the MiG-21SMT? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, that's all I got today. Tickle that like button and fondle that subscribe button. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.